How you doing there, guys? This is Mr. Caribbean coming to you to drop a few lines on you, just to touch in with you about the violence that are taking place in the city of Chicago and Illinois. It's really sad to hear about that. Even though I'm no longer situated there in Chicago, we have family, friends, co-workers, etc. that are there who are still in harm's way and live under this stress and unrest there. That is it's coming to the point that it's what you call disaster conditions, and we have to do what we can to stop this. Now, I understand that it's unpopular to take the position of the president on anything, but at the same time, there's a point being made here. Outside intervention must be implemented. Law enforcement in the Chicago area is overwhelmed. I think they're doing the best they can with what they got and the amount of individuals that they have on the force. Nothing seems to stop this. It continues to operate regardless of how many men or women is on the streets or what they do and the level of stress they must be under just to put the uniform on and go to work every day has to be insurmountable. At the same time, every option must be implemented to stop this violence. We're talking about National Guard. We're talking about intervention on every end. We're talking about anyone that has ideas that could curtail it. Serious ideas, guys, not a bunch of foolishness and stupidity that you know is not going to be implemented. But seriously, use those ingenious brains that you all have and come on up with something that could stop this. It appears that it's okay when you got it. I know it's not okay, but at the same time, I don't feel too bad when it's low life killing low life. But when it comes down to innocent men, women, and children caught in the crossfire, I have a problem with that. So let's get together on this thing. Implement your ideas to your local politicians, etc., people of influence and what have you. And those of you out there who do have a voice, use those voices. And let's get this thing under control because it's out of hand and it's spilling over into other areas, into the suburbs. And I hear little things from people in the suburbs saying, hey, it's out here too. It's at different places, gas stations, etc. And it has to be stopped. So this is Mr. Caribbean just touching in with a quick take about the violence in Chicago. Let's all get together and get this thing done. This is one America and let's act like it. Peace out. How you doing, guys? This is Mr. Caribbean again with Violence in Chicago Part 2. Look, this thing won't stop until all of you all that lives there are a part of it. Now, when I worked there, I worked with various law enforcement agencies in terms of making anonymous calls, informing them of individuals doing certain things in the neighborhood. So it kept things down in my neighborhood. Now, it wasn't a totally peaceful area, but at the same time, I'm sure they got the message that when things occur in this particular area, law enforcement are on it, Johnny on the spot. You have to assist law enforcement. They can't do this thing by themselves. You can't sit up here and blame the police. Well, the police wasn't here and they didn't show up and I called them and this didn't happen, that didn't happen. I mean, the moment a person pulls a trigger, you can't expect a cop to fall out of a tree. Okay, these are human beings now. They have to get there. They have lives, families, and everything else. So they can't just be everywhere at every second. You got to help them. You got to work with them. Seriously, you got to work with them. You got to help out. I know the things that have taken place out here concerning law enforcement, some of them are unpopular. This guy was shot X amount of times. This happened, that happened, and everything else. You're going to have a few rotten apples in the basket, but the majority of the apples are good. At the same time, you're going to have to work with them to get this thing done because these guys are roaming your neighborhoods with weapons, can care less about anybody. They don't care about themselves, I don't think. They're zooted up on drugs and everything else. You got to work with your law enforcement to get this done because you live in these neighborhoods, all right? These guys pass through. They don't stay in spots for long. They move in. Next 5-6 months, they move back out. Work with your law enforcement, okay? If you're not working with law enforcement, you're wrong for that, all right? You're wrong for that. So stop talking about why don't this stop and why don't this and that. You're wrong for that if you're not working with them. You got me? You're wrong for that because you should be working with them. It shouldn't take somebody to get killed for you to step up and say, oh, this has to stop. And you got a bunch of preachers marching through the streets, singing hymns and everything. That's not going to stop anything. You got to work with law enforcement. You got me, just like that law enforcement officer is your cousin, your son, your daughter, whoever. You got to work with them just like that. Partner up with them. You got to communicate with them. Now, you can't be scary and everything. Now, when something hits you, now you're sitting here marching around, somebody has to stop. That's my blood. That's my DNA. That's my this. That's, It doesn't work like that, man. You got to come together as a community. You can't be a bunch of scattered clams in a barrel pulling each other down. You got that? You're wrong if you're not working with law enforcement. You got me? You're wrong for that. And it might take something for you to wake up and work with them. Let's hope that don't happen. But at the same time, you should be working with them, man. This is your neighborhood. You paying bills. You're the one paying rent and mortgage and everything to live in that neighborhood. These low lives don't pay any bills or anything. They ride through in these little raggedy cars, shooting people down like dogs and everything. And you just shut your doors and shut your windows. You're wrong for that. You got that? You better start helping out, man, before it end up being you. You better help, man. Serious business. You got that? You live there. They don't. You better work with them. Violence in Chicago, Part 3. This is Mr. Caribbean for the third time. Now, some of you guys know who these murderers and these lowlives are. I mean, they're kin to you. They're your brother. They're your sister. They're your cousin. They're a relative. They're someone that you know. Now, you know what really burns me up is when you see a whole throng of people out in the streets, you know, they saying this got to stop, you know, chanting and carrying on and everything. Now, some of you know darn well who these people are. Now, come on, they're not invisible. Now, you blame, where's the police? Where's the this? And I'm not on here trying to advocate for the police. All I'm saying is that, hey, I'm advocating for anybody that's doing something, trying to do something and getting this thing done. You got to stop seeing your law enforcement as the enemy, man. Work with them. Work with them, work with them. If you know who these lowlives are, you got to work with them. You got to tell them, hey, anonymously, it's so-and-so. He's at such and such a address. They shouldn't have to offer you a reward or anything like that. Now, when they fool around and they done blew your mama's brains out there, now you locked up in arms with the police talking about Officer so-and-so did a great job. He's doing this, he's doing that. Well, it shouldn't have took all of that to get you involved, man. It shouldn't have took to get your mama's head blew off, something like that, coming from some little crazy job at 2 o'clock at night, scrubbing floors or something like that, and get hurt or killed out here. Work with your law enforcement. You got to work with them. That's the difference between living in a peaceful neighborhood and a violent neighborhood. You say, boy, I go through certain neighborhoods. Their neighborhoods are so peaceful. I don't know how they have it like that and we don't, because they work with their law enforcement. They know their officers by name. Oh, that's John. Or that's David. Or that's Mary or something like that. They know who these people are. You don't even take time to know who these people are. You see, that's the difference. So when these low lives roaming through your neighborhood, shooting and killing, they go hide like little rats in somebody's apartment. If you guys are housing these people, let somebody know they're in your house. He or she is a murderer. They killed somebody. You have to let them know. You have to let them know, hey, the guy you looking for, he's right here. He's sleeping in the bed. He got the murder weapon under the mattress. Let law enforcement know. Get in touch with them. You got that? You wrong for doing that. You really wrong. And I know you guys are listening to this and you know who I'm talking to and you know you need to stop it because you're just as good as a murderer as that individual is if you're hiding them. Let them know where this person is. You don't have to be scared. Let them know who this person is so they could take them off the street. All right? Come on, do the right thing. Let's wake up. Stop acting like you're stupid. Come on and take care of your business. That's your business. Take care of your business. Man, I wouldn't have anybody like that living in my house. They couldn't visit my house. They couldn't break bread at my table. You're not about to do something like that and be sitting in front of me like you've done nothing. You got me? You guys do what you got to do. Do your job. All right, do your job. Policing is a community thing, not just a cop thing. Do your job. They're doing this because the community is not doing their job. I don't care who you put up there as a mayor. I don't care who you put up there as a governor, a president. They can't do a whole community's job. You got me? Do your job. You got me? Do your job. Peace out. Have to get me. How you doing, guys? Mr. Caribbean touching in with you again with a last little tidbit about the violence in Chicago. Look, I've talked with various cops over the years when I lived there in Chicago, Illinois, and the echo would be the same in most cases. When individuals give them identification of potential killers, murderers, etc., whomever, the information is so vague. Well, he had on black pants and he had on this and that, a t-shirt, dark skinned with this and that. Look, guys, give a real detailed description of these people, man. Pen, paper, write down vitals, little things that stand out. Not black pants hanging, a white t-shirt. He had braids in his head. That's anybody. That's anybody. It was a girl with him. She had on stretched pants and weave hair and all this kind of stuff. And that's any one of them out there, guys. Come on, get serious, get for real. Write down details. The young lady had red streaks in her hair. She had a blue jacket on. The stretch pants had green stripes on them. She talked with a slur as though something was wrong with her mouth. Give a detailed description of the young man or woman. Please help your law enforcement to get these people off the streets. It could be you next, your son, daughter, wife, husband. It could be anybody. It could be that cop next. Come on, they don't deserve to go like that. Come on. Now, if they hand you a gun and a badge and say, get out there and solve this stuff, man, you wouldn't even go out the house. You don't be bothered with this. You could get killed in 2 days. Come on, man. Help this situation out by giving your input. You're wrong if you're not giving that input. Give accurate descriptions. Come on, get serious. The person had hazel eyes, or the person talked like this or like that. They could catch the person. They could get this person off the streets before they do it again and again. Killers are walking your streets like nothing. They walking dogs. They're in your grocery stores. They're all around you. They're in your banks and currency exchanges. They're all around you. They can't get them off the streets because guess what? You won't help. You won't do anything. All right? Because this is your nephew. This is your niece. This is someone can't. So what? Get them off the streets. This is getting to be an epidemic. They got to get these people off these streets. You understand me? I'm down here in Florida. Florida knows about Illinois, like Illinois is a part of it. Illinois is on the map all over the country for being one of the worst states in the United States. Come on, man. You guys could do better than this, man. Come on. All right? Come on. Get serious about your community. It could be like everybody else's community. You don't have to live like this. You don't have to live like this. You say, okay, if it's like this, like that, why did I leave? I want a better life for my family. I can't do it by myself. Man, I'm more than likely have made thousands of anonymous calls to police and law enforcement assist. I'm just doing my job. Hey, as an individual, okay? That's my reasonable effort. All right? I don't run around here with a firearm. I'm not some conceal and carry or nothing like that. There's enough guns on the streets. This is my weapon right here. This is my weapon. All right? I'm a smart man, a thinking man. I live in the community. That's my reasonable effort. Okay? You do the same and change will happen for you. I couldn't do it by myself. You can't do it by yourself. Law enforcement can't do it by themselves. Hey, you like living like that, it'll just continue. They put soldiers on the street, the problem will only get worse. Now you got more guns on the street, all right? And they'll still need assistance. They don't know who's doing this. They need assistance from you. You can't sit here, oh, I'm not doing that. That's my baby brother. Your baby brother needs to be dead in the penitentiary. Okay, I hate to put it that way, but that's what it is. If he's running around here terrorizing his community, murdering people, causing people to become handicaps and invalids because he's shooting them and doing these different things and nobody's doing anything about it, the only answer for your baby brother, hypothetically, is the prison system or the graveyard. So you got to do your fair share, all right? Come on, man. It's enough to piss off anybody.